jumping in, so we had Ellie. We had the first 4 months, first quarter real estate agent, to Jordan, who assists real estate agent, and then my perspective on how do we price homes, which get more in the weeds here a little bit. But when you go to price a home, so I've been doing this a lot over the last couple weeks with people that are either have already listed or are future listers in the next few weeks. How do we price a home? How do we put value on a property? How does that change? We've talked about assessed values, which are, what does the assessed value mean? What does the asking price mean, or listing price? What does the appraisal price mean? So I'm just going to kind of break it down. I'm going to try to do this fairly quickly in somewhat layman's terms, so Ellie and Jordan's eyes don't gloss over and you guys stop listening. But the couple things. The assessed value is for your taxes. What people need to know about the assessed value is the assessor does not come into your property. So a lot of people say, well, how come the house, they're asking so much more over the assessed value? They could have done work to the inside of the house. They could have remodeled a bathroom, a kitchen, finished off the basement, finished off a bonus room within the house that the assessor does not know about. Last thing someone wants to do is go brag to their assessor that they dropped $30,000 in their kitchen. Because guess what? Your taxes will go up, but instead people stay hush to keep their taxes lower. God bless America. So that's, but that's why your assessed value is just for your taxes. I really don't look at your assessed value. It does not have any bearing to me as to what your purchase or what the asking price of your home should be. I bought a home back in October, and I paid $40,000 over the assessed value, and it was actually $10,000 under our appraised value, which I'll get to. So I think we did very well in that situation. The appraised value is what an appraiser, that is somebody that is an independent kind of contractor that works to value a home for the bank, to put a value on it, to make sure that the bank is not over loaning on the property, which they don't want the bank to make a bad investment. So the appraiser will go into your property or go into the house. They are a much more exact figure, meaning they already have the contract, they have the purchase price, they know what they're trying to actually get value-wise for the bank. You can't get more exact than an appraiser's value. But on the flip side, the one thing that's different between a value that we would put on the property versus the value an appraiser puts on the property, which I find is the appraiser already has the numbers laid out. They know what the value of the house is going to be, and then they can make their adjustments to, comparable homes to figure out what the value of the property is. As a real estate agent, I do the same exact thing, but one thing we were actually missing is the purchase price value. So it's almost like trying to come up with an equation, but one of the numbers is missing. And what happens is, obviously I'm biased, but I think that takes a lot more skill because we don't have all the numbers in front of us. We are really looking at trends in the market. We're looking at the market in general. We're looking at location. We're looking at, how do we think the amount of buyers or what style of home or price point or in this certain market, in this certain area, in this certain town, where we think the value would be. Then we go into pricing strategy. Do we want to maximize the price? Do we want to minimize days on the market? Do we want to have multiple offers? Like all these things. And then again, you're taking into consideration, when do the sellers have to move? When do the buyers have to, or we don't really know when the buyers would move pricing the property, but when do the sellers have to move? Like, do they have to move quick? Do they have some time? Do they have a place to go? Do they have to find another home and close on a home before closing on this property? Then you got to look at, the condition of the property. What type of loans could we get on a property like that? I went to a house today. We're kind of looking in the low 100,000 for the property. So then we have to talk about FHA and USDA loans. There's things that will come up in the appraisal that will stop people from getting that, but we don't want to not be willing to do that because we don't want to, accept, a conventional loan or only accept a conventional loan, because that really limits the amount of buyers that can afford that or that will actually look at that home. I apologize. I said I would not be I'd be doing layman's terms. I just threw out a bunch of random terms. The girls don't know because they're just dazed. I really went off on a
Oh, you're fine.
I was like, I'm going to do this quick
and
on a quick in layman's terms, but I'm really going like very, very like in the weeds of this. But So your assessed values for taxes, your appraised values, the value you put on the bank. So then it comes, how do we, as realtors, price your home to sell? So again, I know there's adjustments and stuff that the appraisal will use. I know there's adjustments that the assessor uses based off of whatever they need to raise for the levy, tax levy. But I think our job is, there's kind of an art to it because we don't have all the numbers. We don't have all the figures. We're not, when we go value a property, there's a lot of human emotional attachment to it. There's a lot of factors in timing. There's a lot of factors in how much does the person owe on the property. When the value goes to the bank, they don't need to know any of that. They literally are just valuing the houses versus other homes. So you take a lot of the stuff that we have to factor in, they don't have to factor in. So I find that that's, to me, a much easier way to arrive at a number versus us trying to really figure out, the value of a property. So with all those factors that I just talked about, meaning location and timing of buyer or the seller and how much they owe and, what's the quality of the home and condition wise, so how do I go about finding that number? First off, I bring comparable home sales, meaning either in the school district, in the town, depending on where it is. If it's located on Cumberland Head, I will try to stay more in Cumberland Head than I will if I wanted to go out towards like down 374, which is still the town of Plattsburgh and the Beekman School District, but I really try to put it on a Cumberland Head avenue. If I'm doing something out in Schuyler Falls, I might be a little more limited because it's a little more rural. Moores, Altona, Champlain, certain places are a little more limited. City of Plattsburgh, I stay within the city. I can pretty much stay within the city, within the style, within the square footage, and get 5 to 10 different type of comps. So I always bring sold homes, meaning they actually sold on the open market, not asking price, not anything like that. They actually sold. Now, what I also do is I look at, so I kind of have an idea from that. What are the pending homes that are similar to that? What are the active listings that are similar to that? Why do I do that? I need to know how many buyers are out there. So how many homes like this have closed within a year? That gives me, okay, so these homes are actually moving in this price range. You give me a $300,000 listing up in Morris Forks, yeah, we could have some trouble selling it because there's only so many that have sold up in that area. You take a $200,000 home in the city of Plattsburgh, okay, we have comparables, So I look at the active to also give me the competition. Okay, we're putting it on the market. How many other homes are in this price bracket, in this style that we're up against that other buyers could choose over this property? Then, okay, so what I did then the other one, if I think that maybe the seller wants to list maybe a little higher than what they should, I also bring expired listings. What do the expired listings tell us? Okay, well, I can look at the expired listings and see what price they started at, how long did they do, or how often did they do price reductions, how many days on the market, to show them, hey, maybe you want to list at $200,000, but all the homes are selling at $170,000, and all the homes between $180,000 and $200,000 that would be very comparable have been on the market for 6 months to a year and haven't sold. We know you're overpriced. Let's not waste our time. So there's I look at factors like that. So that's like what I use as data. So I have the comps, I have active listings, I have pending listings, and I can bring the expireds just above and beyond where I think the property would sell to prove that it's not that high. Now, a funny thing happens when you bring out actual numbers and facts to people. Their perception gets a lot more in tune with the actual market. I think I've done a very good job relative to most agents in the area of actually selling listings where I see a lot of homes go expired. I do have some homes that go expired, but it's very rare that I actually have homes go expired because I think I really slam down the amount of, I do a lot of research on homes, so I don't just like go and just pull a number out of my ass kind of thing. Sorry for everybody, but that's not visual, but that's really, I have a good, I put a lot of time and effort into it. Then I factor it into the seller's actual need. Why are you selling? What's our time frame for selling? How close are we to your budget? Meaning, are we selling at a point where you're going to be coming out of pocket to make the deal happen? Or are you going to have a pretty good cash flow at the end of it, or cash flow, but like equity that you will walk away with in pocket? that's the other thing too, is I look at what's the net. What are you actually walking away with? Not necessarily your sale price, but what's going in your pocket. So we take out closing costs, take out existing mortgages, take out all those numbers to get you a value. So when you walk away, when you walk away from the sale, you know exactly what's going in your pocket. And then it depends. How are we affecting a purchase? Are we looking to purchase another home? How much money do we need in order to make that purchase? So there's a lot of factors that go in. Now talking about it, that's might seem overwhelming. Ellie's probably like, "You okay with that?" I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm like overwhelmed
that's-
in my mind. But I think what's happened over, when you do with something a lot, like what's necessary actually pops up to the, like a lot of that's just like.
I think that's pretty clear. That's one thing that was covered pretty extensively in the class. Like none of the terms, like it's.
So you understood all those?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, and a lot of it comes down to intuition, my gut feeling on a lot of stuff. Like there's times I might say go higher or go lower. I can't wait till this thing closes. I've been getting so much shit from other agents on this. So I listed, I can't go into detail, but if all things play out the way they're playing out, a lot of agents will be very surprised with this home selling at the value that it's selling at. I'm excited.
High or low?
I don't want to go into too much detail, but the what's funny and what I always like is when I basically get other agents thinking that I'm wrong on the value, and then I'm actually extremely right on the value. And I can't wait. We're not going to talk about it now because remind me when this actually closes, because then I'm going to talk about it, because it's like a little like brag I got to do. I don't brag often, but when I do, this is because I just think that this is like a good. I'll tell you about it off air, but this will be a good one. I just like it. It's kind of like I don't like throwing stuff in people's faces, but I just like them seeing it and knowing that it's like
that they were wrong and you were right.
Yeah, I don't say anything. I'm not gonna call
You
these
don't have
people
to.
out. I'm
That's
not
the
gonna
part.
like shoot them a text or an email. I'm just gonna be like, they'll see it.
They'll see. Yeah.
They'll probably reach out to me too and then say, sorry, you were right. But whatever.